Good evening, everyone. Hi. Hi, my name is Kok Hua. I'm a publisher with Candid Creation Publishing, and I'll be your host for tonight. So exciting, time flies. We are now into episode 8 of Hello, I'm an author, Ask Me Anything. Um, Together with me today, we have Alex Butt, who is the author of A CEO, An Entrepreneur, a Tourist, and The Monk, this book that I'm holding here. Alex, you want to
Hi,
say hello to our viewers?
hi everybody. Good to be here.
Yeah. All right. So our topic for this evening is finding happiness in times of crisis. Okay. So before we start, let me do a share screen. Here we are. Okay, so if you are with us right now, thank you. Just bear in mind, if you have any questions to ask our guest author for this evening, Alex, please post the question in the comment box. Then I'll be able to invite Alex to answer them. In a scenario where there are too many questions, I do have to pick and choose. So I seek your understanding. And please help us to share this video that you're watching right now so that more people can join us and learn together on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. Okay. And of course, help us to like. Likes will be very encouraging for me as well as for my guest author, Alex. Next, okay, just bear in mind every session of AMA we are giving away books. All right, so 3 copies of this book, A CEO, An Entrepreneur, a Tourist, and The Monk, worth 19.90 per copy, will be given away to 3 lucky viewers. All right, who post question. Yeah. So if you want to have a chance to win the book, please post your question and ask Alex anything on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. The lucky draw will only be conducted offline after the show, but I would be contacting you all individually through Facebook. All right. So if you have any questions now, you can start typing into the box, into the comments box. Now, a quick intro to our guest author, who is Alex. You can see here, there's actually 2 columns, the left column and the right column, I like to call them. Alex basically started his professional life in the left column. So you can see he is actually a high flying corporate warrior in many MNCs, including Microsoft, Hewlett Packard, and Honeywell. Yep. And he is also an entrepreneur. He started a franchise business called Synonymous. So that was his past life. Okay. Something happened in between, and now Alex has transit to the right column. So who is he now? Alex has written a book, A CEO, an entrepreneur, a tourist, and the monk. He is also an executive coach right now and also a culture change consultant. And I will also call him an aspiring meditation podcaster because he put there work in progress. So this is something that he's still working on. I'm sure very soon we'll be able to tune into his meditation podcast. So that is Alex. He has a kind of previous professional life, and now this is his life right now. Okay, so to set some context about what is hogging our news headlines recently. So obviously, I don't have to go into too much detail. The current COVID-19 pandemic has created lots and lots of anxiety. From the point of economy, people are saying that our GDP is going to drop from 4 to 7%, which is again unprecedented. And of course, our total employment figures has been seeing the biggest quarterly drop. And this is just the beginning. Yep. And if you have been reading other news reports, our mental health hotlines have been very busy as well. So many people are obviously having a emotional roller coaster right now. It could be due to job loss, pay cut, no pay leave, many issues, right? So this is the current crisis that we are in. And today we have invited Alex to help us address the topic of how can we find happiness. Okay, so I will stop the screen share. We have Alex here right now. Let's see if we have any questions with us this evening. Oh, okay. Just give me a minute. There is a question. And where are we? Okay. So this question comes from Chris, right? Chris has this question for us, and the question is, how do we help those who have high tendency to be depressed to find their happiness? Over to you, Alex.
Thanks, Kokwa. I think this is a interesting question, and it will apply whether you're in the COVID situation or not, because the tendency to be depressed sometimes is doesn't apply to what environment, what situation you're in. You're going to be depressed. You will be depressed. So in my view about depression, and a lot of people who are suffering from kind of an emotional, mental situation, uh, a lot of times it's because of there are many things. I mean, there's not one, no one silver bullet, but usually it's because of a matter that relate to use a word called ego, and ego is related to self. And the more you think the world is against you, the more you think everything is wrong about you, a person will get into a depressed state. And it's ego, it's self, it's respect, it's shame, it's everything. So the way I learned to do this is a simple technique of letting go. Now, the simple technique does not mean it's easy to do. Uh, it's easy to say let go. So, what, for example, if I ask everyone to look at your phone and delete 1,000 photographs from your phone, you spend days and you might not even delete more than 10. And that's letting go. A lot of the times we don't let go, and people who are depressed tend to have a lot more things that they're holding on to. During meditation or during coaching, I usually get to the past and see what are the past things that they're holding on to. Usually it's some kind of emotion, some kind of guilt, some kind of depression, anything that caused depression. And so when we go back to the past and think about the fact that we cannot change the past, we let go of the past momentarily. You'll still be there. You'll not disappear. But if you coach them or ask them not to think about the past as much for a minute, and also let go of what could happen in the future. And so letting go of the past and the future is one technique that lets you have nothing else to hold on to. And when you have nothing else to hold on to, the only thing you can hold on to is right now. And a lot of people have a lot of problems. Even those not depressed people have a problem staying present. Um, so for me, practice letting go of the past. Think about things that cannot change, and not think too much, worry about too much of future, because the future has not happened yet. But think about now. And the way we practice that is to breathe. Just breathe. And when you think about your breath, like right now, every one of you just take a breath and feel the breath going in. You are actually at the present. And you keep doing that long enough, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Eventually your presence fill up the vacuum and not allow those depressive past or the worrying future to come into the space. And the longer you can stay in that state, in Buddhism, they call it emptiness. You can stay in that state of not worrying about the past and the future. A person get a bit happier, and slowly, perhaps the depressive state might go away. Perhaps, I'm not saying you guarantee, but there's one way to deal with it. Let go.
Mm,
And it's most
I
difficult
see.
to let go. Like if you hold on to a helium balloon in your hand, can you let it go and let it fly away? That action is something that
Mm,
sometimes I teach someone to say, imagine you have a helium balloon, your favorite balloon, let it go. Even though it's an imaginary helium balloon, they won't let it go. But the practice of
mm,
releasing the hand, the practice of that little gesture, helps someone to let go slowly and slowly. Deleting your photos, you let go. Eventually, some of those serious emotional burden could go away a little bit, but it takes time.
mm, So are we saying about, is this about detachment, Alex?
Yes, yes, that's a relatively technical term. Yeah, it's about detaching, not being attached to things that you love, you hate. you despise, many things that we have an emotional connection with.
Right.
We have a sense of clinging. We call it clinging. We have a sense of
Right.
craving. And the moment your mind plays about craving, clinging, we're thinking about the future. I want ice cream. I want nasi lemak tomorrow. We are clinging to a thought. Some people
Sure.
cling on to the past. I can't let go of the moment when someone died and I was not there. And so
Mm.
the holding on. So when you go back and think about that moment that cannot be changed and
Mm.
temporarily relieve yourself from that thought, and
Mm.
meditation helps, or getting busy helps. And
Mm.
so when you get people busy, they're less depressed, right? When people are meditating,
Right.
they're less depressed. So you need to get them out of that
Right.
made up stories. The stories in the mind, you need to get it out of it. Uh,
Right.
and,
Right.
and,
Right.
and the root cause of it is about me. Why am I like
Sure.
that? Why is it causing me? So if you're able to detach everything from you being the
Ye-
victim, being the one suffering, you
Yes.
you you peel off that issue.
Yes. Yes. Or it could be someone who is still holding to a job, but has got this anxiety and attachment to that I'm going to lose my job coming soon, and hence he put the focus in the future instead of right now, where they can actually do something about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
everything is three-time dimension: past, present, future. If you think about
Yep.
everything we do, we
Yep.
spend the least time at the present. But the
Mm.
present is the only moment that you can have control of.
Yes, indeed.
Whatever you do influence the next minute. But
Yes,
whatever
indeed.
has passed, there's nothing you can do about it. Uh,
Okay.
so the more you expand that moment of presentness, it's a
Yes.
second, 2 second, three breath, four breath. The whole hour you spend time thinking about what can I do now about my job? Can I change my skill? The future become a little bit more clearer. And usually it's
Mm.
uncertainty that leads people to anxiety. But you know,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. For viewers who have just joined us, hi Eric, hi Jusit. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah, if you have just joined us, we are now with Alex, who is the author of A CEO and Entrepreneur, a Tourist, and the Monk. The topic we are discussing right now is finding happiness in times of crisis. Yep. If you have any questions for Alex, please type them in the comments box. And a reminder, 3 lucky draw winners will walk away with a copy of the book at the end of today's show, but you do need to post your question. All right. And help us to share this video so that more people can learn together. Now we move on to the next question, which is from Shannon, right? So Shannon's question is based on the World Happiness Report 2020, Singapore is ranked number 31. Wow, in a country where we want to be number one in everything, in this case, we are not. So what would you suggest that we can do collectively to improve the ranking? Over to you, Alex.
Great question. Thanks, Shannon. Great perspective. If I tell you that do nothing, um, a number is just a number, um, people will kill me. Uh, but we are born to take actions. We're born to rank ourselves against something. So seems to be a need to improve something. And that's actually the cause of unhappiness. Why is 31
Mm.
not good? 31 is pretty good, but because we're comparing to all the other 30s ahead of us. And so
Mm.
the beginning of happiness or unhappiness is we start comparing. Uh,
Mm.
so that's number one. Now, would I suggest that we could do something to improve it? That's actually important. It's almost like, hey, Dad, I score. I'm number 20 in my class in my exam, and you can say, oh, don't worry about it. It's only 20. That's not the right thing to do, because then you become complacent and so on and so forth. So same thing with results. Same thing with ranking. One of the things that I find very interesting is everybody will say, what can we do? What can everybody do? Especially in this COVID situation. I said, what are you doing about it yourself? Have we improved the way we look at things? Have we become a better person during this time we could not do anything out there? Instead of trying to help everybody else out there, have we changed and help ourselves? I truly believe that if every one of us take a minute to be a better person after COVID, the world automatically will be much better without you lifting a finger to help another guy. The problem is we're
Mm.
trying to help everybody else to be better. Did we do it to ourselves? And if you say, oh, I done everything I could already, I'm pretty perfect. Okay.
Mm.
If you can say that, I take it. But I think
Mm.
start going out and try to change and help people. Help yourself. It's almost like wearing your mask. You stop telling people to wear masks. You wear your mask. And if everybody does that, you're protecting everybody. It's a simple metaphor. And so
Mm.
I believe Singaporeans um, should look at themselves and see, is money most important? Is family important? Is spending time and helping people is most important? If you say yes, 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 go do it. If all of you do it,
Mm.
instead of, oh, let's organize a program and get 20 people to join me with this charity drive and everything else, that's okay. But start doing it yourself first. Start thinking of what you can do first. And
Mm.
and I think that's what the world needs right now.
Mm.
Uh, there's enough of people helping other people, not but there's not enough of people helping themselves.
Mm. Right. Okay. Always remember the quote, be the change you want to see.
Exactly, Mahatma Gandhi.
Right. Yeah. So start with yourself, and if everybody start with ourselves, I think collectively we would move the needle.
And when
Thank you for that.
you
Mm.
make the change, Kok Wah, people look at you and you
Mm.
become a role model, whether you
Mm.
intend it to be or not. And people
Mm.
mimic and follow you, and that itself is creating a
Mm.
change based on your modeling.
It is what we call the ripple effect, isn't it?
Hmm.
Great. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to another question. Yeah, for those that have just joined us, hi Grace, hi Terence, hi Guo Yao. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis, now is the best time to ask Alex, the author of A CEO and Entrepreneur, a Tourist and Demand. Please type your question in the comment box. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Sam. So, happiness versus joy. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Same. I mean, whether you want to get into definitions or words or the experience of happiness and joy, um, someone actually asked me, Eric asked me once, is that joy? And I said, yeah. Are you happy? Yeah. So it's really contextually, it's very hard to differentiate. What really, really very few people understand is what is really joy. When you say, oh, I'm happy, what is really happy? I mean, you take a moment and define it. Is it because, oh, I get to see my daughter or someone bought me a gift? Those are not real happiness, in my view. I mean, I'm like you guys, I'm not perfect. I used to think all those things were happiness, being successful, make a lot of money, buy a house, everything. And you can buy time, make yourself look younger with better personal trainer or whatever. But when you really one day experience pure happiness, it is the feeling that has no attack, no connection with any external stimulus. It's not an ice cream that creates happiness. It is not looking in the eye of a pretty cute puppy that give you the joy. It, I'll so to me, it's no difference. If you feel good about it, it's fine. Go ahead with your life and be happy about it. But when you really experience pure joy and happiness at the moment whereby it's very hard to describe it. You'll never be able to describe it. You just feel a sense of lightness and flotation, and you just keep smiling the whole day, and you cannot put a reason to it. That's pure joy and happiness. And you can call me crazy, but crazy people are pretty happy sometimes, and you don't need to answer it. So, Sam, I don't know whether I can give you a real answer to it, but you have to go so deep into yourself that nothing affects that feeling, emotion, and experience. Not a book, not a chocolate, not ice cream, nothing. When nothing affects it, and you suddenly just wake up feeling fantastic about the moment, that's actually joy.
Mm.
And I only have
Mm.
the pleasure to experience it a few times.
Mm.
I cannot say I could sustain it every day because the world has so many things that either temptation or attraction or distraction. But when your mind is
Mm.
pure and you're sitting alone in the
Mm.
forest, you only hear the crickets going on and nothing bothers you,
Mm.
and you're an hour and a half into meditation, something happens to you
Mm.
and you don't understand why.
Mm.
And tears start coming out of your eyes and you don't know why. And then I asked,
Mm.
what was that? And someone say, that's joy. I said, oh, okay.
Mm. Mm. So did the few occasions where you experienced pure joy all came from meditation?
Yes. You see,
Right.
our mind is so active. We sometimes, it's like a cameraman holding the camera. When the hand is shaking, you cannot focus. You cannot see things clearly, even though we think you can. The mind is the same when we're so busy with thinking, doing, acting, helping, saving people. We actually don't see things as clear as we think we do. But when you
Mm.
meditate or you go to somewhere far away, you don't have to meditate, but some people get it naturally, and everything
Mm.
slows down. Kind of time stood still, and you look in a glaze, a dreamy eye, and sometimes you just drift into that moment, and you feel good.
Mm.
You're reaching that
Mm.
that state that I'm talking about. So far for
Wow.
me, I need to meditate to get my mind to settle down because my mind is not easy to settle. Uh,
Right.
so yes, the answer to it is yes, I was sitting under a tree and it happens.
Right.
It happened.
Okay. So very much is a state of mind and definitely not something that can be taken from the external environment. Definitely not with phase two starting soon. I don't think that would be a trigger for new happiness and joy. Okay, if you have just joined us, hi Alvin. Yep, we are now with Alex, who is the author of A CEO and Entrepreneur, A Tourist and the Monk, and we are on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. If you have any questions, please key them in the comment box so that we can invite Alex to answer them. Let's move on to the next question. Fairly long because there's a context behind it, so let me flash that. Okay, so the name came from, oh, sorry, the question is from Fernando. Lately, most of the news is bad news and it will keep bringing people mentality down. So we have the COVID, we have US racism, and majority of the news are bad news. How can we train ourselves to be still in touch with the world and yet still manage our sanity and happiness? Over to you, Alex.
Um, Stop reading newspaper. Stop reading all those YouTube and all those attachment people send around. That helps a lot. Uh, I, I I'll say 90% of the time, there's so many things that's going around that we read it because it's out there. If you stop reading stuff at all for a week, the world wouldn't change.
Mm,
A month, if it's urgent enough, someone will call you and and pull you back into some urgent matters. But generally, you won't miss a lot. I think part of it
mm,
is self-imposed. We kepo want to go out there and read, and we forward to more people. We're propagating that unhappiness. Um,
mm,
but having said that, don't be naive. You need to be aware. There's a Trump and there's a Xi Jinping. There's this
mm,
thing and that's that thing. So you got to be aware of it and don't be ignorant. But don't overread too much of this stuff and don't start
mm,
talking and talking and talking about it because you're creating muddiness in your mind. I used to use a metaphor that your mind is a glass of water, and the more stuff that you add into it, you get it more more sediments are in there, and after a while the glass
mm,
becomes very cloudy. That's what all these are adding to our mind,
mm,
and then you got to
mm,
work really hard to get the sediment to settle down, which means you need to meditate longer. And so if you don't add things in there and you meditate, it's easier. But you add things in there, you got to work harder when you meditate. And I'm not saying meditation is the only thing that will help you, but it's
mm,
harder when everything is moving and you're reading all the news about it. It's important
mm,
about racism. It's important to be aware about a lot of things so that you don't be part of it. Um, but I think uh, don't add to it if you cannot help it. For me, it's like, so what can you do about the president of United States making remarks like that? What can you do? If you
mm,
cannot do anything about it, ignore it. If
Mm.
you think that our government is not doing enough and you are not lifting a finger to make it happen, make a change, get involved in grassroots, stop talking.
Mm.
That's my approach. Either you go out and help, get involved in it,
Mm.
or be part of it, enjoy the
Mm.
ride, but don't just be a bystander. So I used to say when I
Mm.
teach corporate life, there was four kinds of people: the people who talk about things, the people who watch things, and the people who make things happen, and the people who don't know what's happening. So make sure you be the one to make things happen. Don't be the blur one who's not don't know what's happening, but don't be the one who keep talking, and don't be the one who just listen to everybody. So that
Right. Right. So it's important to stay in touch, but I don't think you have to go through the agony of watching the news every single minute and keeping your mind so clouded, right? What you
just
mentioned
because
also
you got
reminds me.
just
Yeah,
because you got lots of time during the COVID circuit breaker at home, does not mean you got to fill it in with those stuff.
exactly. And we definitely need to kind of differentiate the things that we have control over and the things that we have no control but maybe just concern. And if you have control, then go and do it rather than add dirt to the water and stir it up even more. So yeah, thanks for that. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Eric. Eric's question is, how can we convince a person who has no money and be happy?
So the person convincing the other person has money, so give the other person money lah.
That's a quick way. If money can solve the problem.
If money can solve the problem,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Uh, so I met a guy who told me that he did not need money, and he was having trouble with. He's a good friend of mine. He was a good friend, still is a good friend. I don't contact him anymore. He was depressing because he said, "I don't need money." But your children is going to school. Your family need money. No, I don't need money. Money is not that important to me. So even though I was willing to give him money, he did not want it. But he's the happiest guy around without money. So
Hmm.
that was several years ago. I was like totally flabbergasted because I have no clue what he's going to do with his life. But I thought I was trying to help him, and I couldn't help him.
Hmm.
Many years later, I went through my whole monkhood thing. I realized, the guy is smarter than me. He knew what happiness is, and it is not money
Hmm.
itself. So um, I don't think I would convince someone who has no money to be happy. I would just say, I would learn from them, how are they being happy as they are. Don't bring in the subject of money. If they tell you that
Hmm.
without money they're not happy, is a different issue. Then give them some money.
Hmm.
But if they're happy by themselves without the need
Hmm.
for money, I think I should
Hmm.
learn something from them rather than trying to impose my definition of happiness, which means association with money, on the other person.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Right. Thanks for that. This reminds me of the conversation between Antonio and Toby in the book.
Yeah, for those of you who have not read it, that's what Kok is talking about. Toby is a tourist, disillusioned about life, and Antonio is a businessman who keep wanting to grow his business, and both are not happy.
Right, right. Thank you. Thanks, Eric, for the question. Yep. Hi to our viewers. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Alvin. Thanks for joining us. Yep. We are with Alex, who is the author of A CEO, an Entrepreneur, a Tourist, and the Monk. If you have any questions on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis, please type your question in the comment box so that we can invite Alex to respond to them. Okay. So maybe I'll pose the next question, Alex. So for you, as I've introduced you earlier, in the earlier slide, you have a left column and a right column. So previously, you were highly successful, a corporate high flyer in many big MNCs. So you fulfill what many people's definition of what success is, right? And then you make a switch to the right column, whereby now you have you're a coach and aspiring podcaster and an author as well. And I could see that actually you're happier. I mean, from the first time we met. So my question to you really is success and happiness on opposite end of the spectrum? And if not, how do we put them on the same, move in the same direction? Enlighten us, please.
First, I must declare that I'm not the expert in happiness. I just happen to walk a unique path that gave up everything, like what Kok is saying, to try to find an alternate formula. I spent 30 years pursuing financial goals. I found success. I worked my butts off. Um, but only realized that success and happiness are not synonymous. I had assumed that if I had done everything I could to be successful, happiness will be somewhere there. And I thought that
Mm,
success could buy me happiness, buying time, make me healthier, better food, a nicer house, status, buy me confidence, respect, and comfort. And the truth is, I realized the banks and the investor trust the money that I have, not me. The people respect my authority when I was in power, when I gave up my corporate title. Very few people actually come to me, not because I'm a bad guy. It's just the way things are. My title and status brings confidence to myself as well as for others to have confidence in me. When stripped of all this, we are just another person. And so when I thought about that, I said, wow, there must be something else I'm going to spend my next 30 years doing, not based on the same formula. And so I realized happiness is not the opposite spectrum of success or on the same side of success. Happiness
mm,
is the air along the journey, and we breathe it all the time. Whether you acknowledge it and enjoy it, or you just take it for granted and you missed it along the way.
mm,
And if I ask you all, have you ever ran out of air? Have you ever, I mean, we just breathe, but have you ever ran out of air, like no breath? I
mm,
mean, for some of the runners, you have that feeling of breathlessness. I had an experience once when I was scuba diving when my tank was low on air, and I decided to stay a bit longer. And I wanted to experience what is it like when you run out of air, and I breathed blank. It's just nothing came into your breath, and we don't recognize that air is around us. We don't recognize that happiness has always been around. And so what I'm saying is that it's not even on the spectrum or next to it, it's actually all around us already. Have you ever spoken to a person one day and the next day the person died? Right? Those events are awakening moment to remind us to be happy now, not to keep looking for happiness, and take whatever we have now and be happy, like every breath of air that we take, and cherish every relationship we have today. When you can do that, the world will look very different to you. You appreciate your breath. But go ahead, make a lot of money if it makes you happy. But when you start fearing to lose the wealth that you build, you're crossing the line towards unhappiness. So I'm not advocating people be poor and be happy. Poverty is very unhappy. But do whatever you can to make as much as money as you can, as long as the process of making money, you're breeding happiness as well. Because
mm,
a lot of people with money fear losing money. When you with fear losing the money that you have saved, oh, someone's going to cheat me,
mm,
or the interest rate is not as good. When you fear
mm,
losing it, you actually cross the line, and every day you have money, you're unhappy. Okay,
mm,
and so it's not on either spectrum; it is everywhere, and
mm,
it is a choice that you're doing. You're doing some tough things today. You're doing some very difficult stuff. I know some of you are going through a lot of different business restructuring every day. You can choose
mm,
to find something in there that you're happy about, like being alive, like your wife is
mm,
still with you, like there's still opportunity out there, and you still are, your brain is still working. You can find that
Mm.
way, and then it motivates you to look for other things. Or you can say, I'm in deep kimchi, you know. So for me, 35 years of getting everything I wanted, making the money that I needed,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
I'm glad that I realized that early. So today I'm breathing every happiness moments that I can find and not let it go.
Mm. Mm.
Some of you
Breathing happiness.
may not know a personal part of me is 3 years ago on the eve of Chinese New Year, I was having a conversation and dinner with my mom. The next morning she died.
Mm.
She passed away.
Mm.
And then I realized, hey, if I had not had the dinner and conversation, how would it would not happen? What will happen tomorrow?
Mm.
Because every moment tomorrow, we work so hard and we hope to enjoy it when we at the end of that journey to do the happy things that we do. First, you may not have the time because your time may be up. Second, you may not have the health because you work so hard. You even with all the money, you cannot do it. And third,
Mm.
the people may not be at the finishing line enjoying your life with you. They have gone somewhere. And so
Mm.
um s- so don't wait too long to enjoy your life.
Mm. 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 I remember what you shared during a recent radio interview on CNA 938. You also talk about most people always talk about the pursuit of happiness. I like
Yeah.
how you actually switch it around and it becomes the happiness of pursuit. Like exactly what you have mentioned. Happiness is around us. In the course of our pursuit, happiness should always be breathed in and be focused on.
Yeah. Pursuit of happiness promises happiness as the outcome at the end of the journey.
Mm.
Whereas happiness of pursuit promises happiness along the journey, not at the end. And the
Mm.
pursuit itself should bring you happiness. If it does not bring you happiness, stop it. Don't go there. If your job is not, you're not happy with your boss, with your job, everything, quit. Do something else because the happiness doesn't come at the end of it. It's actually along the way. So
Mm.
we used to say no pain, no gain. We're programmed to
Mm.
think that way. In Chinese, 先苦后甜. Because of that
Mm.
mantra, the programming in our mind, uh, we live by that formula. I love the movie by Will
Mm.
Smith, Pursuit of Happiness. I watch it at times whereby I was depressed, I was having a bad day, I need to motivate myself. And if you watch the movie, Will Smith went through tough situation, hard. Every bad luck you get, he got triple bad luck. And ultimately, he became successful. Wow, so motivating. I need to suffer more in order to get there. But there's only one guy who's like that. That dozens of other guys who actually died, who never make it. So,
Mm.
um, so the question is, why does getting happiness, got to be so painful?
Mm.
It doesn't have to be
Mm.
so painful.
Mm. 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 So the pursuit of happiness actually put happiness as a future state, whereas the happiness of pursuit put happiness as a current state, and that immediately shifts the way how we think and how we act, how we behave.
If nothing you
Um,
remember today, just remember the finishing line. You're running this race of life, and at the finishing line, you're hoping to share all your success with people. But when you reach the
mm.
finishing line, sometimes all the people may not be around because either
Mm.
they don't want you anymore, or they're gone, or you don't even have the time and money left. Not money, time and life and health left.
Mm.
So
Mm.
think about the finishing line. Who do you want to be at the finishing line with you?
Right, right. Thanks for that. Yep. And just nice. Eric has a comment that many people don't even know where the finishing line is. How many days of life have we left? Right. He said that he recently started to calculate the the days, which is the birth year plus 80 minus 2020,365. Then I
Yeah,
realized so limited days I have. Again,
isn't
that's
it?
the assumption that it's 80 years old.
Well, that's the average life expectancy of human these days, 75, but Singaporean is about 84. Imagine you're playing your card, a poker game, and your life is a poker game. One of the card is face down, and you don't know what is a card. How can you play the game? And the card
Mm,
is actually a number, which is how long your life expectancy is.
mm,
So why do you play the game if you do not know what is over there? Because that could turn the whole thing around, and that's what our life is about.
mm,
That's what's happening. We don't know how long we have to live. We only can imagine we have 75 or 80 years to live. And so
mm.
one third of our life is sleeping anyway. So actually, even if you Eric example, you just take one third away and you
Yep,
don't really do that.
yep. Okay, timely reminder for all of us. Yeah, if you're with us right now, please post your question in the comment box to Alex on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. Yeah. We have a question from Sam, Alex. So Sam says, "Yep, indeed. How can we fill them? I guess the them is the days, lah. How can we fill our days so that we die without regrets? What would you say?"
Well, the topic of death is a big topic. So I will not get too deep into it because I spent 45 days as a monk, and I realized that as a monk we train ourselves to know how to die happy.
Wow.
And
Okay.
big topic, we'll talk about it next time. But essentially, one of the things that you need to do is make sure that every night before you sleep, you clear everything you need to clear mentally. If you're unhappy, get out of it, get rid of it. If you have to thank someone, thank whoever it is, because you may not wake up tomorrow. So that's one thing we practice every day. If you feel sorry about something, oh God, why? I want to apologize to you. Tomorrow then I call you. No, call him tonight or send him a text. Clear as much as you can the night before. And if you ever die in your sleep, which is good because don't suffer so much. Uh, at least, if you believe in afterlife, not everybody believe in afterlife, and this is not a spiritual session. If you believe in afterlife, you start clear. If you don't believe in afterlife, it's all right. At least you clear it in your human life as well. And so um, you do whatever you need to do. The next thing in the morning, the first thing in the morning you wake up, I would recommend all of you is to uh, make your blessing. Be thankful for the day that you woke this day you wake up. You have another day, and when you're thankful for the day at the beginning, and you clear all your stuff in your mind before you sleep, basically your day is always clear, and you don't have to worry when do you die, because you always clear your regrets, you always clear your sorries, you always have your conversation every day,
Mm,
and you start the day
mm,
always pure with a pure intention in your mind, always clear. So make your wishes
mm,
in the morning, make all your gratitude and thank everything, and at night do the same thing, plus clear some stuff that you it was bothering you. And
mm,
if you die and you believe in after death, and
mm,
wait, my chair went down, and we die and you believe in after death, imagine the burden we carry with them in our backpack that we did not clear.
mm,
But if you had cleared it and you move on to your God, you go there light and clear.
mm,
The mind
mm,
is clear. When the mind is clear, your path is bright. When your path is bright, there's a chance that you go to the good place.
right. Okay, so hit the reset button of your regrets every night, and then you start with a clean slate the next day, and
Yeah,
be appreciative of what you have.
yeah. That's
Right,
easy to do. Easy to do. There's other things you need to do as well, and those are deeper conversation. Uh, but this is the easiest I recommend you to do. Clear your slate every day.
right. Okay, thank you. Wow, time flies. We are now 8:45, so that will be the last question. Before we end today, I would like to share a couple of more slides. Yep. So we have a short conversation with Alex today. If any of you would like to connect with Alex, Here's how you can do it. There's a QR code which leads to the Facebook page. Actually, this is a Facebook page for the book, A CEO, an Entrepreneur, a Tourist, and the Monk. And as I said earlier at the start of the show, Alex is also in the process of creating a podcast, a meditation podcast, which he says that's still beta testing. Alex, you want to tell us a bit more about this podcast? Is it ready?
Yeah, there is about 18 episodes in there already,
Wow.
and I use it to guide myself through meditation every day. So I'm a self beta testing of those episodes so that it worked for me, it should work for other people.
Ah,
And the reason is in beta testing is you will sometimes hear a little bit of my voice going loud and softer because of my audio stuff. But generally, the earlier episodes has been pretty well tested. I'm
okay.
I used to call it the monkey mind. I'm changing it. So there's some changes along the way. But if you are a first-time meditator, start with episode 1. It gets you into relaxation, and then you get into different type of stress, distress, depression. One
Right.
episode I did recently is about separation and death. How do you deal with people who pass away recently? Uh,
I
and
see.
and when you go through that meditation state of mind, it helps you let go of the balloon I was talking about. You know.
Right. Okay.
So if
Thanks
you
for
like
that.
meditation, but you don't dare to go into a big room because you fear people looking at you, do it in your privacy of your own rooms. Most of the meditation is about 20 minutes. So yeah,
Okay.
it's not that long.
Thanks for sharing this resource with us. Yep. So check out the meditation podcast. Scan the QR code on the right. Clear your mind, and for all you know, you may find your pure joy. Okay, a quick announcement for our AMA episode 9. Wow, time really flies. So episode 9, we are going to invite Patrick Chang, who is the author of The A to Z Guide to Retirement Planning. And of course, our topic will be on retirement planning in times of crisis. So that'll be happening on the 25th of June, same time at 8 p.m. And that is next Thursday. Okay. Yeah, it'd be great. You can support local authors. So if you want to grab Alex's book or any of Candid Creations' book, you can scan this QR code right now, or you can head over to our website, candidcreation.com/bookshop. And finally, before we end, please leave your comments with us, your feedback in the comment box, and also help us to share this video because your friends can still catch the replay. And of course, help us to like this video to encourage us to produce more videos. Okay. So before we end, I just want to thank Alex, first of all, for investing your evening, your very precious evening to be with us today. The topic is not a very easy topic to start with about happiness. So thank you for sharing your time, your insights, your experience, especially on this topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. Do you have any last words for our viewers?
Just remember that happiness is in the air. It's a choice. Whatever you do, you can choose to be unhappy or you can choose to be happy. Once you make the
Mm,
choice, the mental choice, your your brain will start looking for things to make you happy. If you make the choice to be a
mm,
bad day, your brain will look for things that make you unhappy. That's called reticular activating system, RAS. Psychologists
mm.
know that you buy a red car, you see a lot of red cars on the road. You say, I'm going to be happy, you look for happy things that come to you. So make it your choice every day to be happy, and you'll find more happiness.
Right. Thanks for your wisdom. Yeah. Happiness is a choice. It's definitely not a destination only. All right. Before we end, I also want to thank all our viewers for spending a precious Thursday evening with us as we posting your questions to Alex, and together we learn on the topic of finding happiness in times of crisis. All right. So we're going to end our show, and I'll see you next Thursday at the same time, 8 p.m. All right. See you, everybody. Bye bye.